10 things most lawyers won't tell you. Wouldn't it feel weird to realize in the middle of your case that your lawyer is not truly acting like your lawyer? He or she calls it quit in the middle of litigation, doesn't make an objection at a critical moment, fails to show up, or doesn't return your call. The list can go on and on. To build a great relationship with your attorney from the get-go and make sure he or she builds a strong case for you, here are a few things you need to know. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. And if you're doing as superbly as I'm doing, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today, I want to talk to you about 10 things that most attorneys will never tell you. Number 1, don't bring your whole family to our consultation, please. The thing here is that, if you have a case and you're going to your lawyer's office, make sure you just bring 1 or 2 people extra with you, right? The magnitude of the case or the amount of people, the number of people you have with you will not have any impact on whether or not the lawyer will take the case, right? So if you have children, if you have infants, find a babysitter, right? You can bring your children to daycare, but you don't have to send your kids to the lawyer's office. Those things, having children around may create distractions and ultimately does not help your case. Right? This is very important. One thing you also want to do is if you want to maintain a good relationship with your attorney, make sure that you treat the attorney professionally, right? Even if he or she is very nice and has great interpersonal skills, make sure that you understand that a lawyer-client relationship is first and foremost a professional one. So don't bring your whole family to the lawyer's office. Number 2, don't tell me how to do my job. Lawyers, as every other professional, they really hate it when their client is trying to tell them what to do, right? Think about it. Like, you have some clients who are asking, a client might ask, for instance, an attorney, have you thought about this? Have you done this? Have you filed the paperwork? Have you talked to the judge? Those things are inherently part of the attorney's responsibility. So he or she knows that. You don't have to remind them. Right, so this can be a little annoying in the end if your lawyer feels like you're trying to tell them how to do their job. So you want to be very, very strategic about the questions you ask. You want to not give the appearance that you are micromanaging your own attorney. And remember, your attorney has to find a way to build a strong case for you so that you can be a winner out of this litigation process. So don't tell your attorney how to do his job or her job. Number 3, dress appropriately. So if your lawyer tells you to come to court or to a deposition, please dress up, right? You always want to dress professionally. Dress as if you were going to an interview or you were going to church or to synagogue or to a mosque. It doesn't really matter. You want to present yourself in the best light, right? And this affects your credibility. This also affects the way the judge and the whole court, including the jury, sees you. At the end of the day, it's all about first impression or second impression or third impression or overall impression. So think about how you present yourself. Are you showing yourself that you are like some kind of low-class person or somebody who doesn't care, right? So please cover those, body areas that might be a distraction to people. If you have any doubt, all you have to think about is just watch those TV series and see how criminals, even the worst criminals, they always dress in suits when going to court, right? It's all about impression. So this is very important. So the first 3, don't bring your whole family to our consultation, please. Don't tell me how to do my job. And number 3, dress appropriately. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're having a conversation today about 10 things that most lawyers won't tell you. Now, they won't tell you those things out of respect, out of courtesy, or out of they just don't care. But you got to know those things so you don't make those mistakes. All right, now, if you love the content clarity and quality so far, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. We really appreciate it. Comment below. Most importantly, share this content. You want to make sure everybody has the info and they don't make this blunder over and over and over and over. Like the content also. Number 4, be patient. Things can take a long time. It's very easy for a client to think that, it's just the litigation process is a matter of weeks, right? Depending on your case, you can be in this for several months. You have to understand that courts have dockets, and judges are nowadays judges are they're overwhelmed, especially if the kind of case you are in, if your case is in a field that is very crowded. So you want to make sure that you are patient. Now, the thing is that if you have some kind of doubt, you always want to communicate with your lawyer, right? You want to set expectations reasonably from the get-go. So things can take a long time. Number 5, own up to your mistakes. Very important. Very, very important. Lawyers are human beings. Lawyers understand that people make mistakes. Lawyers understand that nobody's perfect. They themselves are not perfect. We have examples of lawyers going to jail for very serious crimes. Even though they're lawyers, they are lawyers. Even though they are lawyers, they still make those mistakes. So my point here is that you want to own up to your mistakes. All right, you want to come forward and be forthcoming with the truth and tell your lawyer what really happens. If you are at fault, go ahead and say it, right? So when you admit to a fault, you are showing your lawyer that you are confident and humble enough to face the music. Now, the lawyer is your defendant. He or she is your advocate, right? So the thing is, he or she will do everything possible to be able to help you, but you got to own up to your mistakes. Number 6, pay your lawyer as agreed. Now, when it comes to money, this is a very sensitive issue, and the last thing you want to do is not pay your attorney or failing to have an agreement with him or her about the payment plan. It's very important, because if you are in one of those cases where the cases that drag on for months, at some point you have some kind of problems if you're not financially prepared, or if you're not financially stable, right? Which is why you have to negotiate the fee beforehand. You have to understand what kind of fees. Some lawyers will accept commission or based on damages awarded by the court, so they wouldn't bill you beforehand, but they'll get their cash if they win the case for you, right? So if you agree to a cash only transaction, make sure, very important, make sure that you pay your lawyers as agreed. All right, I'll be right back right after this, and don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Keyword. We're still here having a conversation around 10 things most lawyers won't tell you. Now, I had already given you 6. We have 4 more to go. Number 7, tell the truth. So this sort of harks back to what I said earlier about owning up to your mistakes, right? Because the last thing you want is your attorney to doubt you in the consultation, or the attorney thinking you don't have a case. Right now, this really, it's important that you establish this initial impression of credibility with the person who's going to fight for you. You don't want any kind of disbelief. You have to prove your case, and you remember that your lawyer is not your witness. Your lawyer is your advocate. Your lawyer is responsible for coming up with proof, right? So when I'm talking about proof, I'm talking about anything that could be evidentiary matter. So photos, documents, people you live with who can testify about the facts. So it's very important. You want to tell the truth, and you want to come forth. You want to come forward with the truth, and you want to make sure you have people who can corroborate your sayings. Because if nobody can confirm that the story is true, you need to have at least something external, right? Some kind of evidence, hard copy to prove your case. Number 8, show me some written proof. Now, this proof is not about the case itself. This proof that I'm talking about here is the proof that underlies the whole case. For instance, let's say you are fighting against an ex-business partner. Things are happening, and life happened, and you guys have parted. You have decided to part. Now, you can't go to a lawyer and say that everything you're saying was agreed verbally. You got to have some kind of evidentiary proof, some kind of written proof. So everything, if you want your lawyer to be able to win for you in court, you got to have some proof. That's what the lawyer will use to convince a jury that you're not, that you are, that your case is valid, that your case is a winner. So show me some written proof. Always, who agreed to what? How can you prove it? Does an oral agreement conflict with the law? Right? There has to be something. You have to understand, when it comes to a court of law, oral contracts are extremely hard to prove, because it's your word against the defendant's word, right? It's all about, oh yeah, he said, she said. Okay, who said? We never know when, where, how, the context. That's why you always want to write things down. Number 9, besides the law, jurors rely on other things to decide a case. This is very important. Everybody believes that, when you hear a legal decision, a jury's decision, it's because they completely read the law and they're comfortable that everything is fine. No. More than 50% of this thing is more, I would say, qualitative. It's more ancillary. It's more, it's more it's not based on law. So the way you speak, the way your lawyers speak, if you are lucky enough to have a brilliant lawyer, an articulate lawyer, a lawyer who can basically connect with the jury, can connect with people, can prove your case through a brilliant way, chances are you would win, right? There are a lot of cases that we know, in the news media in the last 20, 40, 30, 60 years, where someone who is, everybody sees that he or she is guilty, but in the end, they are just like, they win the case, either because of a hung jury or something else, or their lawyer is able to prove. So remember that the law is only one part of the process when it comes to deciding a case. There are a lot of other things. All right. So dress accordingly, be positive, make your case, and try to connect with the jurors when you have to talk. Put your best foot forward and be nice, because you never know if you're sitting next to a potential juror on the bus, for instance. That's what I was talking about earlier, right? So the strength of your case in a courtroom is not directly related to your being right or wrong. Now, the last thing most lawyers will never tell you is, don't leave me a short audiobook on my voicemail. Let me kind of repeat that. Don't leave me a short audiobook on my voicemail. Have you heard, sometimes you just get home and you have some friends or someone just leaving you a long message on your voicemail, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. It is so long you have to stand there just to listen to the whole to the whole message. It's the same thing. You probably don't like that. It's the same thing. Lawyers don't like it either, right? So you don't have to speak longer than 30 seconds and go straight to the point, right? You want your lawyer to know that you are a professional. Yes, sometimes depending upon the case, you might be a little emotional, which is understandable, but the bottom line here is you want to create a good relationship with your lawyer from the get-go. So don't leave me a short audiobook on my voicemail. It's number 10. All right. Just want to recap today's conversation. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you like the content's clarity and quality, again, please consider subscribing to our channel. And we drop this kind of shows every single day over a variety of topics, and we just like to mix things every now and then. Like this content, share, and comment below. Here's a recap of today's conversation. The 10 things most lawyers won't tell you are: don't bring your whole family to our consultation, please. Don't tell me how to do my job. Dress appropriately. Be patient. Things can take a long time. Own up to your mistakes. Pay your lawyer as agreed. Tell the truth. Show me some written proof. Besides the law, jurors rely on other things to decide a case. Don't leave me a short audiobook on my voicemail. Thank you so much for listening to me. I will see you next time, and until then, stay marvelous.